Alicia Magnus Lewis here with the Los Angeles Tribune, and I have that absolute pleasure to be sitting here with Kristine Genovese, who is the founder of the Soul Intelligence Method, and I'm really excited to dive into all that is about. You're a spiritual gangster, but you help people truly connect with their soul within, soul intelligence, SQ. Kristine, for you, what was it about the journey that you went on that really helped you understand that helping people connect with their soul self, was the work that you were going to do?
Wow, what an opening question. I guess, to start back, like what happened for me, I was a corporate turnaround specialist for most of my career, right? Helping companies achieve their goals, whether it was people or process or technology. But there's always like this underlying energy, like why are they not able to achieve the goal? What's really going on? And at the time I didn't realize what I was tapping into. Mm-hmm. So in March of 2020, when the world went a little haywire. Yeah. I was told that my services were no longer needed, so it wound up being my last corporate turnaround. I had no idea. And the divine said, look, we're going to plunk you out of corporate America and you have greater work to do. So I often describe it, I think Brandon Bouchard talked about, you operate at your zone of excellence. Yeah. I operated my zone of excellence for a long time. I was really good at fixing broken companies. Yeah. But what I was destined to do is to actually help people get in touch with their soul intelligence. And so it was time for me to step into my zone of genius. So I remember shortly after being plucked out of that job, I had just gotten a performance bonus. So you want to talk about shock of your life, right?
I'm doing something here. Y'all just gave me a bonus.
I'm like, what? I knew the divine had their hand in it. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I went to an astrologer later who went, oh yeah, you just went from 29 degrees of working for someone else to 0 degrees of working for yourself. I'm like, on March 12th of 2020? She's like, yeah. And I went, okay then, that makes complete sense. So anyway, I did this really deep meditation where I was just brought to tears, and I heard clearly in my head that it was time for me to bring this method forward. So basically, I was in the closet, and I had to come out of the spiritual closet. So nobody was hiring at that time, right? Everybody's like trying to figure out, how do we operate in the world? How do we work from home? How do we make a virtual world? And so it gave me time to really work on the method and develop the method. I used the parachute that I was given effectively. And so how I introduced the method is I started coaching. So I took all of my years of leadership and my degrees and my background, and I started doing executive coaching and leadership coaching and development. And I would do a one-on-one in the beginning, and I would figure out intrinsically what motivated you using a cool tool called the Game Changing Index. Then the second one-on-one, I would work with you on how to use these tools with your teams and move your team forward. And then the last one was at the end of the program, and I would ask, okay, I can either do a traditional coaching session with you, or I could do a soul intelligence session with you, where we can really find out what's holding you back from being able to achieve the goals with your team, have the relationship you want with your spouse, and the life you want to lead. Do you want to take a risk walk with me and do a soul intelligence session? Every single person took me up on it.
Wow. So if I'm that person and I'm like, I want to take a risk walk, I want to experience the soul intelligence method, what is that experience like for people?
The cool thing is you don't have to do anything.
I can just sit here?
That's right.
Okay. That's a good start.
I know, we're called human beings.
Right.
I think we operate like human doings, right? So so you get to be. I set up a sacred space, and what I mean by that is I just make sure that, I've shielded everybody, because we know from 4th grade science class that everybody and everything is energy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So once energy is created, it's got to go somewhere. Okay, it's got to be transmuted. It has to be transformed. It has to go. You have to ground it. You have to get rid of it. You have to move it out of your body. And if you don't, that's what starts to wreak havoc. So what I do is I set up what I call a sacred space, so that when we shift the energy, It goes back to the divine for transmutation into love or light, unless it's of a lower force nature, because as you know, we live in this world of duality. There is dark, there is light.
There's a lot going on.
Sometimes it needs to go back to the underworld to restore the balance between dark and light. So that's what I do. I set up a sacred space, and then you just receive. So I use a form of what I would say very specific prayer.
Yeah.
To set the intention of the session to clear whatever is in your best and highest good. And ultimately, as you've experienced, things come up and you're like, what? I thought I healed that. Oh, I thought we worked through that.
You got that? That was specific. Okay, let's go. But I love that, right? Because it's like, it's for people, like, it could be a body ache, it could be an energy block. And sometimes we think if we have physical pain, like my wrist hurts, it's about maybe I like leaned on my wrist too much, but some of that is energy blockage. So you really go to the root of where people are experiencing some of those ailments and try to clear those out?
Absolutely. So emotion, we'll start there, is supposed to be energy in motion. When energy is not in motion, it gets stuck, it pools, and it starts to cause dis-ease or dysfunction or a dissonance in your frequency. You know, Einstein even told us, you know, the future of medicine is frequency. That's because we're all energetic beings, right? We know that from 4th grade science class. We're all protons, neutrons, electrons. We have an electromagnetic field. Right? And the only reason people can see us right now, right, is energy. I can't tell you how the internet works, but somehow they're able to see us on their screens, right? So it's the same thing like music. We can't see it, but we feel it. We hear it.
We sense it.
It's vibration. And so typically, the reason why I work with so many healthcare providers, functional medicine doctors, is to help somebody heal completely, right? So typically, if you're feeling something off in your body, that's because the energy has pulled to such a point that it's causing dis-ease with your cells or dysfunction, right? And you need to, you know, it could be sometimes something as simple as going to a chiropractor to get a biomechanical adjustment, and then you come to me for energetic adjustment, right? An energetic alignment. It's the same thing. It's moving the energy up and out of the body
so that it's stuck.
So it's not stuck and it doesn't cause the dis-ease or the dysfunction.
And what's so like fascinating about all of this and soul intelligence method, going to your soul but moving that energy, is oftentimes we may have stuck energy and just not know where it is, so we don't know what to do about it. We may feel a little bit off or a little bit tired or a little bit achy and not know why. But you're sharing that, like, through experiencing the soul intelligence method, someone can kind of just sit there and be on the receiving end of energy healing and clearing that helps them push out stuck energy they may not know exists. And pushing that out, everything that they want, maybe on the other side of clearing that energy out of their system so they can continue to receive and continue to act out as a way that makes their soul, is it aligned, happy, all of the above, none of the above? What is that kind of outcome for them in their soul? Does it allow them to get closer to who they want to be, or the things that are like blocking them or maybe making it more difficult to navigate who they really are?
Yeah, I think what happens is, you know, there are different things that get stuck, right? So it could be something as like a toxic masculine energy or toxic feminine energy. It could be a self-limiting belief, like I'm not good enough or I'm alone. And that clouds your vision and how you see yourself in the world, right? It could be a repeating pattern where you always feel like you're a slave in some way, like a slave to the system, a slave to a corporation or whatever, like this archetype or pattern that repeats. So whatever that energy is, once we're able to identify it and shift it up and out, it's like your body is the subconscious mind. It's like a barometer, okay? So when something's going wrong in the physical, that means the energy's been there a little bit. It's been stuck for a little while. And so once we're able to go underneath that and figure out, okay, what is it? Is it a repeating pattern? Is it the archetype? Is it the self-limiting belief? Is it negative energies, emotions, and thoughts? Is it an old trauma that you thought was healed and wasn't? And because remember, if we're energy, it's stuck in the cells, right? It's stuck in your physical DNA, your makeup. And sometimes it's not even yours.
Whew. Can we dive into that? Because sometimes, you know, you've ever gone somewhere, or I won't speak for others, but there's been times where I've gone, I don't know, call it grocery shopping, and I woke up feeling great. And I left the grocery store, I probably walked past a couple people, and now I'm like tired, my elbow hurts. And I'm like, I don't, what? I'm confused.
Yes.
So you're saying we can pick up other people's energy and stuff if we're not aware of it and intentional about maybe not allowing that into our space. But I've learned how to do certain things like an energy ruse to kind of protect my own energy when I go into the world. But we can pick up some of that stuff. So going through a soul intelligence experience with you kind of helps people dissipate that and even acknowledge that maybe that's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things too. Like, I think when I learned I had this gift of being empathic, right? You know, I didn't just wake up one day and go, hello, right?
Oh, look at me, yeah.
But looking back now as a kid, I remember telling my mom, I don't like how I feel around my dad. I don't like who I am around my dad. And what I realized was my dad was an alcoholic. And I was picking up all of his self-loathing, all of his self-hatred, all of his stuff. And so I literally would feel myself physically change when I was around him. Yeah. So it's very same, right? Until you learn like how to manage your energy, recognize what's yours, what's somebody else's, you can always return that energy back to somebody else. Like,
return to sender.
That's right. Okay. Stamp that envelope. But until you learn that, right, it can be very challenging for people. And especially when you're in an intimate relationship with someone. You're not just sharing fluid in that kiss, you're literally sharing energy with somebody else. And because you're open, especially in an intimate relationship, you can take on their stuff too. So you have to be really careful about who you do that with.
And who's in your space,
and who's in your space,
you go to.
and clear it out, and all that stuff. I mean, energy is constantly changing. We're constantly moving, but we're energetic beings, so we have this energetic field. Yeah. So sometimes when we're open, we're like, you know, going around and picking up these negative energies, and we don't even realize. Yeah, like that.
And then you gotta be like, I'm sending it back to the world. Okay, so you have your soul intelligence method experience, and you're a practitioner, you're the founder of the method, but you also teach soul intelligence and you have a certification program. Can you talk a little bit about what that program is all about and why you really wanted to launch it and to work with functional medicine doctors to kind of integrate both their experience and their work with yours?
Absolutely. First of all, you know, you always have to try and duplicate yourself in the work you're doing in the world. And so I feel called to teach other people the method because I want people to be holistically well, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, ultimately, energetically. And so I have the opportunity to work with a lot of functional medicine practitioners and healthcare providers throughout the country. And typically when they're working with someone, you know, you don't just go to the doctor and say, you know, my stomach hurts. Right. You know, it's always like, well, what's going on in your life? And what's stressing you out? And like, you know, what's going on at home? And what's with the kids and work and all the things. Yeah, it's all right? Good. And so when we think about what makes people sick, right, the main things are toxicity. So whether that's in the air or what you're putting in your mind or the chemicals that are in the house or what you do for a living or, you know, lifestyle. Right? How are you doing? Are you moving? Are you doing the sleep? Like all the normal things. When you look at poor nutrition is another reason why people aren't well. Like what you put in, you know, is what you're going to get out. Just like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. The last thing is DNA factors, genetics, okay? And it's the smallest percentage. So most of what goes wrong with us physically, we can control. And we can also look at it at an energetic level. And when somebody goes to the doctor, typically I'm the one that's helping them with the mental and emotional wellness. So if you think about it, physically you're not doing well, mentally and emotionally you're not doing well either.
Because one's like, if I have a stomach ache, let's go throughout my day. You know, I'm not going to be energized.
It's not good.
Tired, sluggish, moving slow.
Yeah, but one of the things too, the reason why I mentioned the stomach too, is that's usually where most functional medicine doctors start.
The gut.
The gut, baby. Even Hippocrates said 2,000 years ago, everything begins and ends in the gut. The gut is really fascinating when you start to study it, just in terms of what it does for us. It holds food and it processes food. It holds emotions and processes emotions.
You have neurotransmitters in your gut and in your brain.
Absolutely, and you produce more serotonin, the happy drug, in your gut than you do in your brain. So if your gut's off, it's messing with everything. But when you think about it too, that's your third chakra. Okay, when we talk about the 7 energy centers in the body, the third chakra is about how you feel in the world, your self-image, your identity, your confidence level, it's all in your stomach. So if you think about when something goes really wrong or something bad, and it feels like you get punched in the gut, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the first place you
wind knocked that out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why everything begins and ends in the gut. So when I'm working with functional medicine doctors, what I usually do is help that person heal completely holistically. Because if you don't get to that underlying root cause, you'll see that patient come back in. You'll either heal, they'll continue with chronic illnesses. As a matter of fact, I think the stat is so high, most doctors' visits, I think it's 95% of doctors' visits today are for chronic conditions.
Band-aid effect.
Yeah.
Which is a Band-aid.
Treating symptoms.
Yeah, symptoms.
Yep.
You're not cleaning out the wound and cleaning it out and sewing it up. You're just putting the Band-aid and then it can get infected and all the other things.
Right, or they'll fix one thing and then something else goes wrong. And that's
happens a lot,
because we haven't gotten to the underlying root cause of what's causing it in the first place.
Wow.
Right.
So,
It's
so
like Groundhog Day.
It's literally, but it's fascinating because it's all connected, and you know, you hear IQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear EQ,
Yeah.
your emotional intelligence, and what you're talking about is SQ, your soul intelligence, and it's another intelligence form that we have, but oftentimes people maybe don't know how to tap into it or
Yeah.
aware of it, or don't know what it's impacting by not being aware of it. So you're a practitioner, you have your
Yes.
certification program, which is online, and
Yep.
people can go through the course and then they get certified by you and your organization.
Yep.
You also recently came out with a book. Congratulations. For you, what was it about kind of the soul intelligence method, or how you wanted to impact people around you that really wanted you and encourage you to put your experiences and your method in a book?
The experience of putting the book together was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the book is called Healing Through Soul Intelligence, and that's really my goal. I want people to heal completely on every level.
Yeah.
And soul intelligence is about getting to that divinity, finding that divine spark within you, and getting rid of all of those things that have been holding you back from being able to live your best life, or the best version of you, your higher self.
Yeah.
And I wrote the book because I wanted to give people real tangible examples of how does this work and what changes after.
Yeah.
You know, okay, we do this clearing and then what?
And then what happens? Like, is this gonna shift some things I really want
Yes.
to shift, or is just gonna like make me feel good in the moment, and then that's that?
Right. Well, it's kind of like a massage. You know how often you would get a massage, right? Sometimes
You have
your
to keep
feet-
going back.
That's right. Okay. So it's an energetic alignment. It's
Yeah.
like an energetic massage.
Yeah.
So because why? We're energetic beings, so you're always picking up different stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But this helps you get really clear.
Yeah.
So you're not having to do this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why I wrote the book is I really wanted to give tangible examples. So when one of the things that I think is really amazing is I have a lot of stories of doctors, like medical professionals that I've actually helped in the book themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like heal or heal thyself.
Yes.
And it's their stories,
Yeah.
and then it's also stories of their patients and my clients that I've worked with directly on how they've transformed.
Yeah.
So one person, one doctor comes to mind, and she's like, I remember we did a session, and then right after I got a text the next morning, she goes, I don't know what we did, but my husband is acting so much better, so different. And I said, we shifted your energy, and he's reacting to your new level, your new vibration.
Yeah.
And she was like, that is fascinating. So just so you know, in case you got to pay the next spouse, we can help.
Yeah. And I love too, like in the book you talk about it, but you worked with someone that had tried everything. Like literally gone to all the doctors, did all the things.
Ketamine, mushrooms,
Like
drugs.
all of the
Yeah.
drugs, that heavy, intense drugs, that going to the different doctors, and things weren't shifting for them. But they went through a soul intelligence, energetic massage, and things started to shift for them. And so that is something that I think is fascinating. It also goes to show that there's so much going on that we may not be aware about, but there are people like you that can support, but you teach it, right? You
Yes.
want people to understand the method, people that are certified through the soul intelligence technique and method use it on themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, they use it on friends. They use
I
it
do.
on themselves. Right. So it's like, so and I think that's really unique because it's not necessarily like you have to be a functional medicine doctor to learn it. Like
No.
you could learn it for yourself. You could learn it for your family. You could learn it to work on your friends, and it's really teaching you how to quiet and really go within, but through actual practical techniques and an actual method that's learnable. And it's also teachable. You're also speaking a lot now. I know that you're speaking at conferences, doing book signings and events for your book, really all around the country. I mean, you've been Vegas, New York, Florida, California. You've been all over the place. As you're going around and speaking, what are a couple of the core messages that you've been sharing that you'd like to give people a sneak peek of that they can kind of learn or expect from you when you are on stage speaking?
Well, typically I try and do a group session.
Wow.
Right?
Right there. You're like, I want you to experience
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that helps bring it into the physical for someone, right? To have an actual experience. So when I do a group session, it's typically around a theme. And so it's like what's for the best and highest good of this group, or if there was an intention for the conference, you know, that we focus on that intention. Sometimes I pay attention to energetically what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll shift something energetically. So I always want people to have a personal experience first. And then I try and share some of the stories of transformation so people have a better understanding of the method. The method is available online. It's an evergreen course. It's 24/7. And if you're interested in wanting to take care of yourself, your family, if you're a healer and you want to add this to your practice, or a coach and you really want to help your
go within.
clients shift, right, from the inside out, this could be an awesome complement to your practice. In addition, like my big vision is to see soul intelligence at wellness centers throughout the country, right? As another modality. Look, I'm going to go sit in the sauna and then I'm going to get a soul intelligence session. And I'm going to walk out of there feeling like $1 million.
You go inside out, outside in, and everything else. It's like a full-on cleanse. I love that. And Kristine, you are a part of the film, The Pillars of Power, the 5 Hidden Secrets to Success, produced by the Los Angeles Tribune Film Division. For you, why was it that you wanted to be a part of the film, and what are you looking for people to experience when they go to see it?
Well, I wanted to be a part of the film, first of all, because it's just amazing to be an expert in this field and to be alongside some of the incredible names from the original Secret, when the work of Dr. Jim Vitale, Marie Diamond, and John Asseroff. There's so many incredible people in this film, and to be able to bring manifestation to the next level was something I couldn't pass up. I wanted people to have an understanding of, once you're able to shift what's holding you back, what's stuck in the way from you getting to your soul intelligence, tapping into that inner knowing and being in alignment with your mission, your vision, your values, and your purpose. I wanted to be able to share how soul intelligence can help them do that, along with all of these other experts to help people manifest the life they truly want. You know, I had what I would call my holy shit moment earlier this year.
Holy woo!
And it was basically me realizing everything that I had focused on in terms of manifestation, journaling, meditation, using my sacred soul script to manifest what I really wanted to bring in. I was living it. I was already there, and I was like, wow. It was like when you're like, wow, you're like, really?
What is going on? It's happening.
You really are embodying it. That's really what it was. And I want to make this available to everybody. I want everyone to understand that they have the power to live the life they want, to manifest what they want, and that it all starts from the inside. I think we're kind of been conditioned that it comes from the outside. But when your outside isn't, your outside is only going to be what matches on the inside, right? You have to focus on the relationship with self. And I think we're wired to help others. My early teachings growing up, it was about one of the greatest lines in the Bible to me was, love one another as you love yourself. And most of us love others more than we love ourselves.
But it starts with loving yourself.
Exactly. It's like the greatest relationship we have has to be with us, and we're taught, oh, that's selfish. No, that's actually what you need to do. That's called self-care.
The longest conversation you have is also going to be the one with yourself, because you're with yourself every single day. You're not with other people as much as you are with yourself. I love it too, because, you know, oftentimes people are like, I want this, or I want to create this, or I want to manifest this, and they're trying, and they're like, oh, I wrote it down, why isn't it happening? But I love that your book, even, it's called Healing Through Soul Intelligence.
Yes.
Because it's an acknowledgement that sometimes to get what you want, you have to heal certain things and create space and open the energy for those things to flow in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can want them all you want, but if you have some kind of subconscious block that might be pushing it away that you're not aware of, it creates a counter action. And so I love that healing is core to what it is that you do, because it creates the space for everyone to receive everything else.
Absolutely.
But that healing part is so critical. Kristine, it's been so great speaking with you. We're going to have you back, because I just had having too much fun here today. But as we come to a close, what is one message that you want to share in this moment for when people think about you, or they think about the soul intelligence? This is what they remember.
Well, if I could get them to remember anything, remembering that everybody and everything is energy, okay? And that emotions are energy in motion. And when energy gets stuck, that's when it wreaks havoc in your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body.
Yeah.
So soul intelligence is something that can help you shift the things out of your life that are holding you back from achieving everything that you really want to achieve. And once you are able to shift that out, you become open. If you think about how energy works, you know, a crimped hose, you know, water hose, right?
Stuck. The water,
why is it coming out? Right? You know, and so it's really interesting.
I love that
analogy. You need to be open, right? And most of us get constricted and we try and control, as opposed to being open, flowing, allowing, and receiving. So once we clear out what needs to go, you're open and able to receive and manifest what you truly desire.
I love that. There's IQ, there's EQ, and there's SQ, and that is soul intelligence. Thank you so much, Kristine. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I know we'll do this again.
I love it. Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you.